usually do try to stay away from over-exaggeration, too much hyperbole, because it's not productive for the conversation. It doesn't help support my viewpoints, etc. However, I do truly believe that this 2023 NFL draft is kind of a seminal moment, seminal type of draft for the Detroit Lions. This is a critical draft for them. They're on the precipice of being a very good team. With a lot of people, I think, right now looking to them as being the potential favorites in this division in 2023, this is a draft that can help, take them to a different level or potentially be a reason that they don't do so. And especially considering the position of power that they were sitting in coming into this draft, especially the first 2 days, they come into the draft weekend with picks 6 and 18 in round 1, picks 48 and 55 in round 2. You're saying, okay, you get a chance to get 2 players in the top 20 and 2 more players in the top 55. If you can't get this right, you're stupid. But if you do get this right, the Detroit Lions can start to be really scary in that NFC. You've got the chance to add some real impact players to an improved kind of core roster, a young roster that's on the rise. Absolutely true. Very, very important draft for the Detroit Lions. You can say, well, the NFL draft is important for every team. So yeah, to certain and varying degrees. But based off of the circumstances and situations, this draft, in terms of teams it was most important to, obviously it was very important for, the Houston Texans and the Carolina Panthers, right? But, the Lions are towards the top of that list for an entirely different reason. And I certainly can understand the day one approach of General Manager Brad Holmes was criticized, was questioned, will continue to be questioned by many. I get it. Now, to be clear, it's very obvious, one of the worst kept secrets out there, that Devin Witherspoon was going to be the Lions guy at pick 6. And you say, well, what makes you say that? Because the Seahawks took him at 5. Because as soon as the Seahawks took Witherspoon, the Lions took no time at all to trade back from 6 to 12. They bailed out of that pick. That is always a telltale sign of when a team has gotten the jump on you and they took the guy that you really wanted most, and now you got to kind of take some time to regroup. You don't like where you're sitting based off of your position and what talent is on the board at that point. So it's obvious that Witherspoon was a guy, they didn't get him. But hey, not all is lost, right? They peel back from 6. They also give up 81, but what did they get in return? They got picks 12, 34, so a high pick in round 2, and pick 168. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions about the Lions sat there and took Jahmyr Gibbs with the 12th overall pick. That was a massive reach. No, it wasn't. Personally, Gibbs was my running back 1 in this draft class. I like his ability to impact the game with his speed and as a pass catcher better than I do Robinson. Robinson I had a high first-round grade on too, don't get me wrong, but Gibbs is my running back 1 in this draft. And I fully believe that somebody was going to take Gibbs before pick 20. I really do. So, as a result, to me, I didn't view taking Gibbs, who I had a top 5, 6 player grade on in this draft overall, taking him at 12, I certainly didn't view that as a reach. But that's not as important for Detroit here. They were still able to peel back 6 spots, and they got themselves another weapon on their offense. Like, it wasn't that bad. I think it is much more appropriate and fair to question the choice of Jack Campbell, the middle linebacker from Iowa, at pick 18. This already was not a great linebacker class. Was he really that much better than Trenton Simpson from Clemson? I don't think so. Dion Henley, like some of those guys, I say, was Jack Campbell really that much better? Again, I don't think so. I felt Jack Campbell was at least a reach by 1 round, maybe a round and a half or 2 in terms of overall talent. The illusion or the thought of what Jack Campbell could be is much higher than the reality of who he was as a player as Iowa. It felt weird to take a middle linebacker there at pick 18. Poor positional value, perhaps. And I sit there and I say, couldn't you have traded down a little bit and still gotten him? That's what I keep coming back to. It feels like if you like Campbell that much, then find somebody potentially that you could trade back with. Or you had just gotten that pick at 34. If you really like Campbell, then take somebody else at 18, maybe Kalijah Cansey at 18, and then find a way to pop up and take Campbell in the 20s somewhere. Somebody would have traded back at that point. Yeah, just weird decision there for me. So that's why I gave their day one grade a C+. I like the fact that they were able to peel back from 6 to 12. I am a fan, and I will defend the Gibbs pick. The Jack Campbell one is much harder to justify, especially when you play the draft game. With that said, though, there is usually that propensity for a middle linebacker, with that type of speed and skill, you can find it to be easier for them to be able to at least be solid at the NFL level, but, felt like they could have played that one a little bit better. Day two was certainly a day full of wheeling and dealing for this Lions team. They were moving around all over the place, ping-pong and all over. They had 4 different draft trades on day two. They moved up from 48 and gave up 159 along with it to get to Green Bay's pick at 45. They sat there and got 55, a 194, traded back with KC, got 63, 122, 249. They gave up 63 and 183 to peel back to Denver, picks 68 and 139. Gave up picks 122, 139, 168 to get to Arizona at the tail end of round 3 to get pick 96. So all that maneuvering, they came away with 4 players total on day 2. 2 in round 2, 2 in round 3. I think LaPorta was only a little bit of a reach there, but he certainly has starter potential, right? It was kind of a bit of a surprise that he didn't go round 1. He wasn't going to be there much later. I thought Brian Branch was a slight steal at pick 45. I really did. I'm not very big on Hendon Hooker. I had a 5th round grade on him. I think he's overrated as hell by a lot of the draft media. But I could understand at that point with the importance of the quarterback position, you put an additional premium on it. 3rd round pick on Hendon Hooker. I would have taken Dorian Thompson-Robinson. That's just me. But I could understand why they would have liked Hooker here. It's whatever. And then Brodric Martin gives them a beefy run stuffer with upside at the tail end of round 3, so I kind of like that. They did a lot of wheeling and dealing. I think Branch was the best of their day 2 picks. I don't know how much value Hooker really provides to the table. With LaPorta, I don't think he was the best tight end on the board. And I thought there were better players than Brodric Martin on the board at that point. So again, I come away with day 2 and I give the Lions a grade a C+ for that one. And they only had 2 picks on day 3, so there's not much value for them there. Because frankly, some of that day 3 value was invested in the Brodric Martin pick when they moved up to the Cardinals slot at 96. I will say that I think Colby Sorsdal has a real chance to make it as a swing offensive lineman. Whether that be at tackle or maybe he has future potential as a starting guard. Draft position be damned. I think he's got some upside here. They also were able on day 3 to take and send DeAndre Swift to the Eagles for a 2025 4th round pick. That's okay there, making the best of it. You'd already taken Gibbs, so you didn't have a ton of leverage there, but you found a way to get some value back by trading away DeAndre Swift. Not much value here. It's just average or okay, so I gave him a C grade here. Things I like most about the Lions draft this year. Gibbs adds an explosive element to that Lions running game and that passing game from the backfield, and that even more so than Swift did. It's just different. Brian Branch should be really nice, should be a day 1 starter there, and LaPorta could be another weapon for Goff in the passing game. Being able to have 2 picks on day 1 and then 4 total picks on day 2, that's nice work. Now, I could say, hey, Jack Campbell was a reach at 18. LaPorta was maybe a slight reach. Did they really address and help their defense enough? I don't know about that. And the other thing I was kind of disappointed with them in terms of the draft strategy and approach, talking about the Lions here, is Brad Holmes, is you didn't do much to really strengthen your position in 2024. Maybe you could have peeled off a little bit and just, instead of trying to accumulate everything for this draft, maybe you could have, pushed off a little bit to position yourself a little bit better on day 2 in 2024, day 3 in 2024's draft. I would have liked to have seen them take a little bit of a longer-term vision with their approach. It was an okay draft. There are some folks I think that are going to rank the Lions near the very bottom in terms of draft performers. I think it was kind of middle of the road. That's what I think. I almost wonder if they would have benefited by taking less picks overall and maybe having 3 first-rounders, right? And really focusing on getting those guys that could make big-time impact right away. I gave them a C-plus grade because I thought it was an average performance overall in the draft, slightly above average. That's not me saying that their draft sucked. If I thought their draft sucked, they would have a D or an F grade. See far too many of these draft analysts and experts that give out A's to like 12 or 14 teams in the draft. That's fucking ridiculous. No. The A grade should be preserved for like the truly special outstanding approach, the truly special outstanding performance in terms of draft value, etc. They're giving away too many goddamn A's. A solid performance is a C+, and that's what I give the Detroit Lions for their performance in this year's NFL draft.